welcome back, everyone. We're here for some more Tears of Amaterasu card first perceptions.
Yeah, first impressions. Packs, the amount they add to the game is there's really something to be said for that. So if you were already enjoying the game out of the core set and then you can't even get some of these packs at a reduced price, I do highly recommend it because they do add a lot to the game.
Yeah, it's just adding some more options for you as you're building your decks. Some cards to hopefully round out some of the clans that were weaker out of the box, and then just a little more variety to your games. You're going to see some fresh cards. You're going to not always be coming up against exactly the same decks if you're playing against the same clan.
Yeah, like if you've been playing a lot with the core sets, eventually you will be seeing a lot of the same cards, and this adds a lot, and it really kind of feels like you're making the game your own in a way. It adds a lot more customization. It adds a lot of interesting choices you get to make as when you're building your decks. So it really is a treat. And if that's something you're interested in, we're diving into the crab cards today.
So we're going to begin here with the Staunch Hida, the crab cards, and it's a crab character.
Yeah, crab Dynasty character. She is 2 cost, 2 military skill, and a dash on political, so not eligible for political conflicts. She has the traits Bushi, which is good, and Yojimbo. So we've seen a couple Yojimbo cards out of the core, so this looks like it may be a theme that's being expanded upon. 1 glory, which is interesting out of crab. Actually not really interesting. A lot of them are 0 or 1, so it's not.
Yeah, it's not high, so that's nice. I think the card would be better if it was a 0.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I would rather a 0 there.
Yeah.
But anyways, it may be a slight drawback that it's not a 0, but it could help out in some games. Then it has the reaction, after this character wins a conflict as a defender, which crab you want to be doing, resolve the ring effect of that conflict as if you were the attacking player. Max 1 per conflict.
The fact that they put that in brackets means they thought that this was a really good effect.
Yeah.
I think it is a really good effect.
Yeah, I think if there's some situation, it's not a unique character, so some situation where you have three of these out and then you win a conflict as the defender, and can you imagine if it's
3 void or something?
Or if it's at the crab province,
yeah,
which lets you trigger 2 and you trigger the ring 4 times. Which would really be their own fault for attacking into that, but...
Yeah, and like attacking without knowing they were going to win. Because it is a Dynasty card, you're right. This shouldn't be surprising anyone that it's in the conflict.
It's interesting it's a Dynasty. I think if it were a conflict card, I would argue it might be too good if you were popping this in as a surprise, yeah. I think, and then triggering the ring. So
I agree.
Yeah. Your opponent knows it's there. They can play around it, but there's still times where they'll think that they can beat you, and then you have a trick. You have more tricks that you can do, and you have ways of stopping them. Crab is already great at defending, and it's just increasing that theme.
And like beyond that, rewarding you for playing
the way that
you're supposed to.
Yeah.
At least the way you're supposed to thematically.
Yeah,
but also mechanically.
I do think they are best when they're playing a more defensive style. Yeah.
It is a 2-cost character with a 2 dash. That's not very good. I think the ability is really strong. I don't know if it's bringing enough to the table for the 2 cost. It's close. It's definitely. I think you're going to be tempted to put it in one of the last few slots of your deck. I think it is hovering around those spots, at least with the card pool being just the core in this.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. The synergy this has with another Hida card. The intimidating Hida being that if they pass on declaring a conflict, I believe they lose. The reaction is they lose an honor, I think.
I believe so.
So there's a lot of synergy between the Hidas here, which I imagine is intentional.
That card's a little underwhelming too, though. I think that's a 4-coster. It's a 3
No,
or
I think it's a 3.
it's a 3 or a 4 coster, and its stat line is not amazing, shall we say, either.
I think the thing is though that if you do like have the both of them out, and they're like, okay, well I either lose an honor or just attack into Crab militarily, which Crab is really good at winning military on the defense, and now you're triggering ring effects. Like we said, if it's the Crab province, which they're probably not going to attack, but if it was a face down one that flips, you get that. I think there's like a nice synergy there.
I think you're being too generous to that card, because pretty much every faction needs to attack you to win. So they have a built-in incentive to attack you anyway.
But I'm saying they don't have to attack you military if you're sitting there with like if you're sitting there with this and it doesn't have a fate on it, they might just be like, you know what, I'll do some political, I'll defend, and I'll attack you next turn. If they're not confident they're gonna win. If they're confident they're gonna win. Like I don't think you attack into this if you're not confident you're gonna win.
Well, then, by your argument, this is actually a pretty good card, because it's dramatically changing the way your opponent's playing the game, and it's negating them using half their challenges, potentially.
I wouldn't say dramatically, though, because are you really attacking into people and you think you're going to lose anyway? Like, you don't want to waste challenges.
No, there's an argument to do that, just like you send your little chud in, and now you've basically exhausted one of their characters as a defender, and now it can't come back at you.
No, like, I take back what I said. I take that back. I do think there's, like, times where you're going to do it. I don't think you're really going to do it against Crab as much, because Crab do have incentives for winning challenges on the defense.
Not a ton out of the core. This is adding to that.
Yeah, this is adding. Yeah, actually, no. No, you're right. It's really only the Crab province, I guess, that is doing that.
Immediately comes to mind.
Yeah. No, actually you're right. I mean, there's the, you're probably playing Keeper, and there's probably the Keeper Initiate. But you can do that on the attack.
But you can play around that so easily
by
not declaring that ring.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's fair.
I think this card is a nice card to have in your collection. I think it's all right. I'm not blown away, but
yeah,
I like the reaction a lot.
I think my thinking earlier when I was saying you wouldn't attack if you don't think you're going to win, I think I'm actually thinking in the context of this card being out.
Yeah.
That, like, a ring effect is strong, and, like...
Which means the reaction is quite good, actually.
Yeah, the reaction might end up just making them not declare a military attack if they're not confident they're going to beat you.
Which is good, because if Crab can last a long time, with cards like Levy, they might be able to grind their opponent.
Yeah, Crab plays the War of Attrition well. Crab and Scorpion both do it quite well.
I mean, the other argument for this card is that it's costed at 2, and if you want to play the kind of Crab deck where you don't take very many high-cost characters, and you just try to spam out low-cost characters and then use your Stronghold to buff them.
Yeah.
She's now giving you a reaction that I would say is better than that on most 2-cost characters. Problem is her stat line's weak.
Yeah, that's fair. Something that actually just sprung to mind that is really just that despite what I said before about they might not make that attack, there are certain clans that are just built for military, and that's their main path to victory. Like Unicorn and Lion are the two that come to mind immediately, and like they are gonna have to.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Like you have to attack to win.
Yeah, I guess in my mind I was just thinking of like Crane kind of being like, okay, I don't really care about this, but I think that's more what I was thinking. I don't know.
I like that this card exists. Maybe she should have been a 2/0 is what I'll say.
I like it more there because then you can at least defend with her in a political conflict. Use your Stronghold to at least get her to
She becomes way more versatile.
Yeah, there's a lot more utility there at a 2/0. I agree. Anyway, yeah, we had a lot to say on that card, but now we're on to the second one here.
It is a holding, which is nice because Crab wants to have their holdings, and They only got 2 in the core. One was not strongest. So we've got the +1 strength Karada District. Limit 1 per deck. So this must be good.
Yeah, and I've heard some people's thoughts on limit 1 per deck cards, and I know there's people who are not a fan of it at all because they think that it adds more luck to the game in terms of because typically as soon as you see limit 1 per deck, you assume it's going to be a really good card.
What I will say is that this is not a limit 1 per deck character, it's a limit 1 per deck holding. So you shouldn't be... It's not as if you have some sort of, overpowered 10 cost unit going around not having to bow in battles or something.
I think I maybe kind of see why it's limit 1 per deck, is that it's a unique holding. So maybe it creates a weird situation where what would you do if you have this out and then you flip your face down Dynasty cards over and you get another one and they're both unique and you can't have 2 in play?
Well, you put a fade on it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that might have been their thinking.
I guess we should get to the action here.
It's Imperial traded.
Yeah, Imperial traded, and it has an action. Give an opponent 1 fate. Choose an attachment on a character that player controls. Take control of that attachment and attach it to an eligible character you control if able. Otherwise, discard it.
So Crab does already have the ability to... Oh no, I'm thinking of Scorpion. So this is basically the Scorpion event on a holding. And that's a really good event. And it's helping Crab because this is a holding, which they also want. And you can trigger this once per turn instead of just playing the event into your discard pile. The downside is Scorpion, I think it's a 1-cost event, and you're paying that back to the bank. Here, you're paying the 1 cost directly to your opponent. And the thing is, with the meta being what it is, I think most attachments are going to be 0 cost. So you're paying 1 to take their 0 cost attachment.
Not paying 1, giving 1.
Yeah, sorry, you're giving them 1 to take their 0 cost attachment. It's basically probably gonna be a swing of 4 in that battle.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, because
which is good.
It's probably a Katana or a Fan, really.
Which is really good. But you've now basically paid them 1 fate for their conflict card. Which is maybe a win?
Which is, I think, is a good trade. It's an interesting card in that you're giving them a fate, and then basically they're giving you their card. Well, you're taking their card. So like it's things going both ways, like you said. But then this brings us to the discussion we had earlier in the previous video about that we do think a card is worth a bit more than a fate.
Yeah, it's not a crazy overpowered thing. It doesn't say take your opponent's attachment.
Yeah, that would be busted.
I really like this, and the thing is, Funeral Pyre is kind of such a bad holding that this is definitely going in your Crab deck. It's a 1-of, it's good. It has +1 strength. You want holdings anyway.
I actually disagree with you about the Funeral Pyre, because the thing is, you just use the Funeral Pyre once you've already bowed that character, and if it's a character with no fate, you're not even losing anything. Except for the ability to trigger the water.
Out of the core set, you're losing the ability to play a large number of Crab units on your turn because it's blocking that spot. And it's a +0, so it's not actually really helping you defend.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good enough. I think it needs to be a +1.
I don't know. It is I don't know. It makes me think of it's not as good as the Phoenix one, which you just draw the card. But at the same time, it's like, if it's a character without fate that's bowed, they're leaving play anyway. At that point, it is effectively drawing a card.
I completely agree. It's nice, but you're clogging yourself. And that's even before you have other holdings. And I mean, I would rather have favorable ground. I would rather have The Borderlands defenses, those are both great. And I mean, eventually you're going to clog yourself. Like, okay, I've kept my Funeral Pyre a couple turns. I flipped like 2 more holdings. Now I'm going to lose the game.
Yeah.
Now, that might be mitigated as more good crab units become available for the conflict deck, and you kind of have ways to play units from more than just the Dynasty
I
area.
have seen a future Stronghold doing something of that nature, so...
But, like, with the card pool being what it is,
yeah.
I think this is...
I definitely think...
I think this is really good, and it's making the cut most times.
And it's also easier to make the cut in terms of that it's limit 1 per deck, and it's really like, can I find one spot in my 40 to 45 card Dynasty deck to include this? And I think at the point of the game we're at now, I think the answer is yes.
I think even into the future, the answer is yes, because that swing of 4, potentially multiple turns, that swing of 4 is really good. On top of it, it is giving you the +1 to your province, and it is a holding, which a lot of their characters and effects want.
Yeah, no, yeah. I agree. I think this will be good for some time to come at least. And like you said, like Hida Guardian immediately swings to mind. It's like, if you can have 2 holdings out, and that can just give a character +4 military and political, like...
On top of what the holdings are already doing.
Which are useful effects. The art on this card is incredible too. I think this is my favorite art I've seen on... It's up there of all the cards we've seen, I think.
I like it. I don't like it that much, but it's nice. It's nice that it's really doing it for you.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of this card. Well, I think it's 2 pretty good cards here that we got.
Yeah, if you're a crab player, do you like this pack?
The answer I think is definitely yes.
I don't think it's like an auto buy if you have a limited budget, but I think if you pick this up, you look at the cards, you're going to say, certainly the holding you're going to be really pleased with, and I think you're going to look at the character and you're going to say, okay, maybe there's space for it.
The character, I view it as a fringe one right now. Like, I think it's right kind of around that line of whether it makes it or not. But I think the holding, like we were saying, I think it's gonna see play for some time going forwards even.
Yeah. Now, if you're a player who only plays crab and your budget is really tight, it's worth noting this is a limit 1 of, so in the whole pack, if you don't play any other faction and you don't play around with the neutral cards too much, you're getting a single card. So that's worth thinking about. Maybe you're going to get more value from another pack. Check out our future videos to see if there's a better crab pack.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll have more packs coming in the future. But to Hal's point there about this pack, if you haven't watched the previous video on the neutral cards, we did mention the Goblin Sneak. We thought had some utility in the crab deck. So
and the Jade, the Finger of Jade.
That's true. So I do think the neutrals in this pack are fairly good in crab. So if you like the look of the Karada District and maybe the character is something you're interested in as well, I would definitely recommend checking out our video on the neutral cards, and maybe there's even more incentive to get this if you're a crab player.
Oh, and the fact of the matter is you can pick this up on sale, so that might help.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you have it. Some interesting cards for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited to use this holding here.
Oh, as am I, and we hope you are too.
Yeah.
And
if you do use it, let us know. Let us know how it is. If it did anything cool in your games.
And as always, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments about the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love the feedback. So, and until then, take care.
Thanks for watching.